Hello, John Talley here with Boats.net. Today, we're going to talk about bottom paint. Now, I know when you went to that main page, you're like, oh my God, so many different types. What does it all mean? Well, we can break this down to a few major categories, and then it's up to you to really drill in to see which one is going to best fit your vessel. So, what are you after? Is your boat sitting in freshwater, saltwater? Is it getting used a lot? Is it a fast-moving boat? Is it going to sit there for a long time and then get used? Are you going to use a cleaning service? Or is it on a trailer some of the time and at the dock others? Is it going in dry storage? These are all different aspects you need to think about when you're going to choose the correct bottom paint for your boat. So let's get into it and figure out which one might be best suited for you. First one, ablative type paints. And what ablative means is it is a softer type paint, and it's designed to kind of slough away or wear away as the boat moves, and that prevents any type of marine growth from attaching to it. Now, your ablative type paint, that's going to be found on your slower moving boats such as a sailboat. Its primary function is to slough off just a little bit at a time as the boat moves through the water. Now, you also want to take into account if your boat is spending a lot of time at the dock, you may want to get an ablative that will slough off as it's sitting, so it just naturally wears away and doesn't have to move through the water. Now, keep in mind, if you go with one that soft, it's going to have to be replaced more frequently than a little bit harder ablative type, which only reacts when the boat is moving through the water. So just keep that in mind. If you use your boat a lot, you may want to consider using a copolymer type ablative paint. And what that gains you is it still protects you at the dock, but it really protects the boat as it's moving through the water, because it's the movement through the water that polishes or cleans or renews the surface area. And that allows you to build it up a little bit thicker when you apply it, and then it'll last for more than one season because it is a little bit harder than the standard soft type ablative paint. Now next, let's talk about hard paints. And as the name suggests, it is a hard shell that encapsulates the hull. And it counteracts marine growth by releasing a chemical which, well, pretty much wards off anything that's trying to attach to it. The real trick is, when it's exhausted those chemicals, you have to either reapply it or strip it off and then put on a new coat. Now, you can get away with doing 1, 2, 3 maybe coats, but after that, it'll be time to go through the arduous task of sanding it back to the hull and then reapplying. Now, when do you need this type of coating? Well, if you have a faster boat, let's say more than 30 to 40 miles an hour, you're probably going to need this type of coating because with even a copolymer, well, it's going to wear away so quickly, you're going to spend more time in the dry dock than you do on the water. So if your boat is trailered a lot, spends most of all of its time in dry storage, and then you get out and use it for maybe a weekend or a week at a time, this may be the choice for you. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to be reapplying any of the previous ones we talked about on a very regular basis. Now, if you're really serious about racing and you want the slickest possible surface down in the water, well, they make specialty coatings for that as well. Now, this is for the serious racer where you can apply this as a hard coating, and then you can even polish it to almost like a mirror finish where your boat just glides through the water. Now, if you've got that level of dedication and speed is that important to you, that may be the one you want to consider. Now, a couple of options on the spectrum that we haven't talked about is copper content. Now, they have paints that have 0 copper in them, and that's what you would want to use on a bare aluminum hull, something like a John boat, anything of that nature. Now, on the other end of the spectrum from a no copper is a high copper content. Now, this is really designed for boats that are in the harshest environments for long periods of time. But be careful about this. If you have aluminum fittings, anything exposed, this is not the paint you want to use. Now, you do need to be careful because some marinas and agencies, they will not let you moor your boat if you've got a high copper content attached to your hull. It's just that simple. Now, if you have a pontoon boat, of course, that's probably made out of aluminum pontoons. The last thing you want to do is put on a heavy copper content, ablative type material. But don't worry, they've got you covered. They have a no copper system that's designed specifically to go on aluminum hulls. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is their bottom paint on your boat already, because we need to know what type it is, because each one of these cans is going to have a compatibility chart on it that's going to show what it can be used to paint over and what can be painted over it at a later time. So unless you really want to make a mess out of your boat, you need to find out what is already on it if it has a coating. If you cannot determine what is on your boat, the safest thing to do is just to sand it all the way back to the hull carefully and then lay down your preferred coating. Now, for my application, I knew what paint was on the boat, but it was so old it had basically turned into chalk. So we went through the process to sand most of it off where we could get a fresh coat laid down and do a little bit of maintenance on the hull as we went along. Now, as far as applications go, each one of these is going to have its own instruction sheet that really will drill down as to exactly how they want you to apply it. But I can tell you across the board, each one of these, they can be brushed, they can be rolled, or they can be sprayed. They just want you to have the hull clean, free of debris, and then applied when it's a little bit warmer than 50 degrees Fahrenheit. On our boat, it took a day and a half to prep the hull and only about 3 or 4 hours to lay down not one, but 2 coats, just rolling it on. Now, I know it's daunting to look at all these paints, but all you have to do is think about where your boat is and how you're going to use it, and that's going to direct you to which paint needs to go. Now, armed with that information, which one of these did I decide to go with for my boat? Well, let's look at it. Cabin cruiser, fiberglass hull, over marine plywood, of course. Not that fast, roughly cruising speed 28 knots, maybe 30 if I'm feeling spunky. Spends most of its time in dry storage. So which one did I go with? Well, this was my choice. This was the most cost-effective for the amount of time that it spends out on the water. It is a copolymer, a hard-based one, so that it allows it to be pulled out of the water and then put on the rack in dry storage. Now, if I were using it a little bit more during the year, I probably would have invested in this one. A little bit higher grade, a little bit harder, it's going to last a little bit longer. But for my application, this was the most cost-effective way to go. Now, all you have to do is figure out what color you want to put on yours. Y'all have a great day.